So before we get ready with our calculus, we should have a little refreshment for our previous concepts that we learned through our pre-algebra and algebra education. So for now, let's start with brushing or refurbishing the fractions concepts in our minds. So first, you need to remember that you can't divide by 0. So the denominator of a fraction can never equal to 0. So if you say 0 over 5 equal 0 in this case, but 5 over 0 is undefined. So you can't divide by 0. That's what it is. So for multiplying fractions, that's an easy topic. As you can see in the equation over here, you have a over b multiplied by c over d. This equals ac over bd. So if you have 2 over 5 multiplied by 3 over 4, that equals 2 by 3 equals 6 over 5 by 4, 20. You can simplify it by dividing over 2. 6 over 2 is 3, 20 over 2 is 10. So if you have two fractions that are divided on each other, so you have 3 over 10 divided by 4 over 5. In this case, it's easier for us to flip the other half of the equation and change that equation into fractions multiplications. So if here there's a, so for 4 there's a and there's b, so a over b and c over d. So in this case, if they are divided, you can say c over d multiplied by b over a. So you just only moved the denominator in each other. So this way you can do a multiplication. So if you have 3 over 10 multiplied by 5 over 4, instead of 3 over 10 divided by 4 over 5. So we switch those two. So 3 by 5 is 15 over 10 by 4 is 40. If you have two fractions that are being in addition or subtraction, the same rules apply. So a over c plus b over c. So we have a common denominator in here. So you can say a plus b over c. But if the denominator is different, then that's a different story. So in this case, 2 over 7 plus 3 over 7, that equals 2 plus 3 over 7, that's 5 over 7. Now, if you have a over e plus b over c, what you're gonna do? This way you do cross multiplication, so that equals a multiplied by c plus b multiplied by e over e multiplied by c. So that's the way you do it in case you need it. Now if we want to visit the powers, so x to the power of 0 equals 1. X to the power of minus 3, that can be represented as 1 over x to the power of 3. If you want the equation, here it is. X to the power of minus a equals 1 over x to the power of a. If you have x to the power of 2 over 3, that means the cubic root of x squared. That's what it is. And you can imagine in a different way, x to the power of 1 over 3 multiplied by 2, that's x to the power 2 over 3. So here we can see the equation, x to the power of a over b equals the b root of x to the power of a equals b root of x to the power of a. You can represent in a different way. So x to the power of 2 over 3 equals, so the cubic root of x can be represented as x to the power of 1 over 3. That's squared. So multiplying from the outside, that's the 2 multiplied by 1 over 3rd, that's x to the power of 2 over 3. That's just a more simpler way of representing that. So x squared multiplied by x cubed, in this case we say x to the power of 5, so you can keep the x here, and you add the powers. So x to the power of 5. The equation saying x to the power of a multiplied by x to the power of b, that's x to the power of a plus b. You are adding the powers. X to the power of 5 over x to the power of 3, that's equal x squared. In this case, if you go to the equation, x to the power of a over x to the power of b, that's x to the power of a minus b. So when you flip the b up here, you change the plus sign into minus. So that's x to the power of a minus b. I'm sure you know these. We're just refreshing your minds about them to make sure you are ready to get into the calculus. So x to the power of 2 multiplied by power of 3, in this case x to the power of 6. So if you have x in this representation, x to the power of a, between parentheses, all to the power of b, that's x to the power of a multiplied by b. It's not plus b, it's multiplied by b. If you have x, y, z to the power of 3 all multiplied, then you can distribute the power on each variable in this case. So it is x cubed, y cubed, z cubed, and so on. And this is the equation for it, just for your memory. If you have x over y to the power of 4, so you have multiplication or division, you can easily distribute the power over the variables. But that can't happen when you have plus or minus sign. Like if you're adding or subtracting, that's a different story. So x over y to the power of a equals x to the power of a over y to the power of a. So as we said, addition and subtraction is different story. So if you have x plus y to the power of 2, you can't say it is equal x squared plus y squared. That's a complete root, have a different equation. The equation is right here. So if you have x plus 2 squared, this means x plus 2 multiplied by x plus 2. If you do the distributed multiplication in here, then that will give you x squared plus xy plus xy plus y squared. That's equals x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. Just pay attention to that. If we want to revisit the logarithms, log c of 1 equals 0, log c of c equal 1. If you have log c of ab, you can distribute the log, in this case, log c of a plus log c of b. If you have a division, log c of a over b, that's log c of a minus log c of b. Log c of a to the power b, the b can go in here, then you have b log c to the power of a. Log a, the b, equals log c the b over log c the a. Quickly, let's revisit the solving of quadratic equations. We have three methods that we gonna revisit. Either you have factoring or quadratic formula, or you're having completing square. So for factoring, you have this equation, 2x squared minus 5x equals 12. Now you bring all the terms to the left hand side of the equation, make sure the equation equals 0. So we have 2x squared minus 5x minus 12, so we change the plus sign to minus because we move it to the left side of the equal sign. Whenever you move it right or left, you need to change the sign. Now the factors are, we are saying that 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 is an outcome of multiplying the two factors, 2x plus 3 by x minus 4. In this case, you take each one of them on the side and find the solution of the variable. So 2x plus 3 here, we said move the 3 to the other side of the equation. You have 2x equal minus 3. We change the sign of the 3. In this way, the solution equals x equal minus 3 over 2. Then you have the other factor, which is x minus 4. Move 4 to the next side of the equation and change the sign from minus 4 to plus 4. X equal 4. So the solution of this equation is either x equal minus 3 over 2 or x equal 4. Moving to the next method, if we have a quadratic formula, then if we have an equation in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then we can use the quadratic formula to find the solution of the equation. In this case, the values of x equal minus b, which is the factor of x, or x to the power of 1, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So the a is the factor of x squared and c is the constant in the equation, over 2a. A is the same thing, the factor of x squared. If we want to have an example for that, the same example that we had previously, 2x squared minus 5x minus 12 equals 0. Now you plug the coefficients in the equation. So you can say the 2, so the a in this case equals 2. A equals 2. And minus 5 represents the b. So minus 5 represents the b. And minus 12 represents the c. Don't forget and say 12, it's minus 12. Okay, so if you plug in the coefficients for x, one time plus, one time minus, so this plus or minus, one time we use it as a plus, one time as a minus to get the factor. So in this case we have 5 plus or minus 11 over 4. That's either 16 over 4 or minus 6 over 4. So x equal 4 or minus 3 over 2. That's the solution for your equation using the quadratic formula. If you have the method of completing the squares, having this equation 3x squared equal 24x plus 27. We put everything related to x and x squared to the left hand side of the equation and keep the constant on the right hand of the equation in this case. So you divide both sides on the coefficient of x. So you have x squared here having a factor of 3. So you divide over 3 for everybody. So you have x squared minus 8x, which is minus 24 over 3, equals 27 over 3, which is 9. Now you take half of the coefficient of x and you square it, then you add that to both sides. So in this case, half of minus 8, the coefficient of x minus 8, is minus 4. It's minus 8 over 2, that's minus 4. Then the square of minus 4 is 16. So you add 16 to both sides of the equation on the left and on the right. So we add 16 here, we add 16 here. Now you have factor the left side into a binomial squared. Then this will give you x minus 4 squared equal 25. And your final solution, x equal either 9 or minus 1.